They brought her out in chains at dawn. The dragon woman's scales flickered dim gold under the harsh prison lights, cracked in places where the guards' stun batons had struck. Her wings were bound tight, her tail locked under a magnetic cuff, and the collar around her throat buzzed with lethal voltage. One wrong move and she'd be ash on the floor. The execution square was silent. Thousands of alien spectators gathered, hungry for blood. And then a human soldier stepped forward. Sergeant Mason Hale, Earthborn, combat medic turned peacekeeper. The kind of man who didn't believe in monsters until he'd seen actual ones. The dragon woman lifted her head, eyes dull but defiant. He expected hatred or raged at what he found was fear, trying desperately to hide behind pride. For a moment, just a breath, her golden eyes locked with his. And Mason felt his gut twist. They're about to kill someone who isn't a criminal, just different. The speaker boomed overhead. Prisoner designated Verana of House Illista, charged with treason against the League. Sentence, termination. The crowd roared. Mason's jaw clenched. He had seen this before: political purges disguised as justice. A dragon house refusing to surrender their home planet. A young woman blamed for the rebellion her elders started. This was just slaughter, and he couldn't watch another innocent die. Not again, not after the war. Asterisk. The decision Vienna was pushed to her knees. Her wings trembled. The executioner raised the plasma spear. Stop. Mason didn't even realize he'd moved until the entire arena fell silent. Thousands of alien faces turned toward him. His voice echoed. Sergeant Mason Hale, Earth Peacekeeper Corps. I am placing this prisoner under Earth's protective custody. Gasps. Outrage, a few laughs. The executioner snarled. Human, you have no authority here. Mason stepped between Verana and the spear. I don't need authority. I need conscience. He drew his sidearm not at the guards, not at the crowd, but downward. A silent promise. I'm not here to kill, but you're not touching her. The executioner's face twisted. You dare interfere with League justice? Justice. Mason spat. She hasn't even stood trial. She is dragonkin, the executioner hissed. Her existence is guilt, and that, Mason realized, was the truth behind the whole spectacle. Not justice, genocide. He clicked his cum. Earth Command, this is Sergeant Hale. I am invoking Article 19, requesting emergency asylum transfer for one detainee. Static. Every second felt like a knife on his neck. Then request acknowledged. Extraction en route. Mason exhaled. The executioner shouted, stop him. Kill them both. The arena erupted. Mason grabbed Verana by the arm. On your feet, I've got you. She stared at him with disbelief, voice shaky and rough. Human, why? You don't even know me. Mason pulled her behind cover as stun bolts sizzled overhead. I don't have to know you, he said. You're alive. That's enough. Verana's breath caught. No one had said that to her in years. Asterisk the captor. Guards closed in from all sides. Mason fired 2 warning shots. The crowd screamed and scrambled out of the kill zone. Verana flinched at every blast, but she didn't hide. Even chained, even broken, she faced the danger head on. Can you run? Mason asked. Dragonkin don't run, she growled. Fine. Can you walk fast with determination? Yes. Good enough. They bolted toward the evac point. Verana stumbled, her chains dragged. Her wings clipped the ground, but Mason held her steady. Behind them, The execution squad advanced. One guard fired a stun net. Mason shoved Varana aside and took the hit himself. Electricity tore through him. His knees buckled. Varana stared at him, shocked. "You shielded me." He forced himself upright, limbs shaking. "I said, I've got you." A tremor of something unfamiliar rippled across her face. Respect, maybe even more. Shuttle roared overhead. "Sergeant Hale." "Move." A pilot shouted. They sprinted. Blaster fire rained down too much. Too fast. Varana suddenly pushed Mason forward, taking a bolt across her side. She gasped, scales blistering. He shouted, "I had to repay the debt." She whispered through pain. They collapsed into the shuttle as the pilot slammed the doors shut. The ship blasted into the sky, leaving the furious crowd behind for the first time since dawn. Varana was safe. Asterisk, the face she remembered. 3 weeks later, Earth Peacekeeper. Station medical ward. Varana sat quietly on the bed, now free of her chains. Her scales had regained their shine, and the wound on her side was nearly healed. She watched Mason enter with a eyes softening. "You're recovering fast," he said. "Dragon physiology," she replied. "We heal quickly. When we have reason." Her tail flicked. She hesitated before asking, "Why did you risk your life for me?" "Truly," Mason leaned against the wall, "because during the war, I didn't save someone I should have. A civilian girl on a burning colony world. Command said she was not a priority." He swallowed hard. "She looked at me the same way you did, like she wanted to believe someone would help. And I hesitated." His voice cracked. "She died, Varana." The dragon woman lowered her head. She had not expected this kind of honesty. "Not from a human soldier. Not from anyone," she whispered. "I am sorry." Mason managed a faint smile. "Yeah, me too." Silence sat between them, heavy but sincere. Then Varana said something that froze him. "You don't know me, but I know you." Mason blinked. "What?" "When you stood in front of the executioner, you looked exactly the same as you did years ago." "Years ago." She nodded slowly. "When I was a child, during the border skirmishes, I was trapped under rubble on my home moon. Soldiers passed by. Most ignored me." She looked straight into his eyes. "You didn't." Mason stared at her, stunned. You were that kid. The one with the broken wing." Varana's voice softened. "Yes, and you told me to hang on. You cleared the rubble yourself. You carried me to safety. And before leaving, you said, 'You're alive.' That's what matters." Mason felt his throat tighten. "I didn't think you'd remember. I never forgot your face," she whispered. "When they dragged me to the execution ground, I prayed to the old fire spirits that someone would see me." Her golden eyes glowed. "And when you stepped forward, I thought I was dreaming." Mason had no words, only the weight of fate, circling back after years. Varana placed one clawed hand over his. "Humans say, HFY, humanity, F***, yeah." She smiled faintly. "Now I understand. Because you're kind. You choose mercy even when it costs you." Mason swallowed. "I just did what was right. And that," she said, "is why I will never let harm come to you again." Asterisk, a promise forged in fire over. The next days Varana trained, healed, and grew stronger. Earth Command eventually offered her a choice: safe relocation to a neutral world, or joining the Peacekeeper cause. She made her decision instantly. She walked into Mason's office, wings partially unfurled. "I want to serve," she said. "With you." Mason blinked. "Are you sure? This job isn't easy." "I know." She stepped closer. "But I owe you my life. Twice, and dragons repay their debts." He shook his head. "Varana, I didn't save you because I wanted something." "I know," she said gently. "That's why I trust you." Her golden eyes held something deeper, gratitude, admiration, maybe more. "But it isn't just debt," she continued softly. "When you saved me on the execution ground, I wasn't afraid of dying." She looked away, embarrassed. "I was afraid of never seeing that human again." Mason's heart skipped. "You remembered my face for that long?" He whispered. "Yes," she said. "And I will remember it for the rest of my life." She extended her hand, fierce, strong. "Let me stand beside you, human soldier." Mason took her hand. "Then welcome to the team." Her wings lifted slightly, joy shimmering across her scales. From that moment on, the dragon woman who once faced death now walked freely because one human believed in her, when no one else would, and she would remember his face, not as the soldier who saved her, but as the man who gave her a future. Asterisk.